What kind of fallout can we expect from these latest developments out of Iran? For more on this, let's bring in James Phillips. He's a senior fellow for Middle Eastern Affairs at the Heritage Foundation. A lot of this, putting Aegis cruisers and anti-missile systems in some of the countries around Iran, is said to placate not only the Israelis and convince them that they do not need to launch any kind of a preemptive strike on Iran, but also to bring the Russians and the Chinese on board for tougher sanctions. How does this military hardware do that?
I don't think it really does do that. I think this essentially is a de facto admission by the administration that its engagement policy is not working and that it needs to fall back on a plan B, and that is strengthening allies that are threatened in the immediate vicinity of Iran and giving them some of the tools they would need to defend against the Iranian threat. But the Chinese and the Russians have made it clear at the Security Council that they are not willing to go to the same extent we are to ratchet up sanctions against Iran.
So without the cooperation of the Russians and the Chinese, what kind of leverage do we have?
I think anything that comes out of the Security Council is likely to be a day late and a dollar short, and it's going to be far from the crippling sanctions that Secretary of State Clinton has promised. Unfortunately, I don't see a way to stop Iran's march towards a nuclear weapon purely by diplomatic means, because for Iran, a nuclear weapon is the biggest carrot it can imagine, and there's no way that the U.S. or the West can offer something bigger to it.
Well, if Iran gets a nuclear weapon, the Saudis, which are no great friends to Iran, they're going to want one, aren't they?
That's right. Egypt, Turkey, even some of the smaller countries, Jordan, many of them are going to want a nuclear equalizer if and when Iran announces it has a nuclear weapon. And that's one of the reasons I think the U.S. needs to take a stronger action to stop this, because it's not just what Iran and some of its terrorist allies could do with a nuclear weapon. It's going to be how to respond to a cascade of nuclear proliferation once the sluice gates are opened by Iran.
Well, if the President were to call you or the Secretary of State and ask for your advice as to what the United States should do right now regarding the Iranian threat, what would be your answer?
I think the United States has to make it clear that the military option is on the table, and to do it in a way much more firm than the Obama administration is doing. I don't think anyone really believes that this administration would consider such a preventive strike against Iran, and unless Iran thinks that that's a possibility, I think it's just going to continue merrily on its path to a nuclear weapon.
James Phillips from the Heritage Foundation. Thanks.
Well,